Hello, this is Giovanni here at Fraptals, and today we are gonna take a look at this patch here. So this patch has been on the back of my mind since I started playing with Fumana many years ago, but finally I am able to put it into practice now that we have Cunsa, so 4 filters with variable cutoff frequency. Now, as you may know, Fumana has 2 odd and even outputs that output respectively the odd bands and the even bands, and this is very useful for creating a stereo spread effect. This is the baseline where we're gonna start from. As you can hear, we have a very rich bass sound. It's very heavy in the sub range, but at the same time it has lots of higher overtones that we are not removing too much by pinging Cunsa at 12 dB per octave instead of 24. We can even add some crispness through Cunsa's Q. This is already pretty fun, but neither Brinso or Cunsa used as a standard low-pass gate kind of filter are the focus on this patch. Instead, it's Fumana. So let's patch everything through Fumana. I am driving it pretty hot. And as you can hear, we can already do this kind of funny things. So let us use the odd and even bands. Odd and even. Now we have the bands hard panned, so odd bands on the left, even bands on the right. This is an effect that I really love, especially considering that these outputs here are slightly, I'm talking about 1 dB, slightly brighter than this one, because they have they don't have a very gentle shelf on the upper range that this one has. So we did that on purpose to provide even more nuances. In most of the cases, I like this effect, but in this specific one, the fact that everything is hard pan slightly bothers me, not so much in the upper range, because this is very nice and very pleasant to hear, but more in the bass and sub-bass range, because when we want a bass line very focused, that we want it to punch through the mix, we may want to keep it in mono, something like this. So here's where Cunsa comes into play. My idea is to use 2 separate filters set in high pass and low pass mode, actually 3 of them, and we're gonna use 2 of them to process the odd and even bands in stereo with the high pass filter, and another one is gonna process the all output or even a copy of Brinso's final output in mono, and we're gonna set all of them roughly to the same cutoff frequency and use them as a stereo crossfader. Let us start. So I'm gonna start by patching these one to filters 2 and 3, and then patch them back in stereo, high pass filter mode, 12 dB per octave to our CGM. So 1 and 2. I want to make sure that they have roughly the same setting, like this. Not too much Q. I don't want to overly emphasize the cutoff frequency, but I may run them slightly high, like this. And now I am able to process them like this. And then I will start from the all output, which is the sum of the odd and even bands, and patch it into input number 1. I will then patch its low pass filter set to 12 dB per octave filter mode to another channel of the CGM. Now it is super low, as you may guess, also the Q is pretty high, so we're gonna use roughly the same setting as these three filters here. I can drive it a little bit more, maybe if I want some extra punch on the bass. And let's see how they sound together. Nice. Let's close this filter here. And by doing so, you will hear that we will have much more tight bass, but at the same time with a very pleasant upper range. If we want, we can also use an external offset like this one coming from the 321, patch it here, but at the same time we must patch dummy cable on our fourth filter because we don't want this offset to affect filter number 4, which is part of the melody, not part of the processing. And by doing so, we are able to define when the track becomes mono and when it becomes stereo. Instead of using the same signal coming from Fumana, we can add some timbral variety by using, for example, the pulse output and patch it into our filter number 1. Like this. So we can have this section perfectly centered and this one spread out. Finally, instead of using a DC offset, we can create an LFO or even use Bagai's fluctuating random voltage to add some degree of variation to this patch. I think that this patch is a very good example of how Cunsa and Fumana can stay together. If you're interested in more examples, feel free to let me know in the comments below. More videos will come in the future, so I'm very curious to hear what you think about this one. As I said at the beginning, I am Giovanni from Frottos, and I will see you next time.